Let's read Cicero chapter 40. Firstly, what happened just before? He was talking about a hypothetical person who, if he was endowed with like the ability to reject all pleasures, I think that he'd be somehow gifted by the gods. Out of this kind, I judge that those famous Camilli were. Like, I judge that they were of this kind. Those famous Camilli, Fabrici, Curii, and all those who made this such great empire, or made this empire so great from tiny beginnings. But things have changed now, is his implication. Verum haec genera virtutum non sol in moribus nostris, sed vix iam in libris reperiuntur. Indeed, well, this kind, these kinds, virtutum of virtue, not only non solum in moribus nostris, in our customs, as in our way of living today, sed vix, but scarcely iam in libris, that is, scarcely now in books, reperiuntur, are found, are able to be found. So, indeed, these kinds of virtues aren't able to be aren't found not only in our custom today, but now also in our books. Cartae quoque quae illam pristinam severitatem continebant obsoleverunt. The pages. Carta is literally paper, but I mean paper in the sense of papyrus. It would be at this time period. But like literally the pages on which, and I mean it's not very common for books to be written in codices where you literally flick a page over, but more a scroll thing. But you get the analogy when I say pages. The pages also, which were containing, you could say used to contain, illam pristinam severitatem, that ancient, so pristina is like ancient or old-fashioned, severitatem. Severitas is one of those tas nouns, severitas. And the trick with that and words like dignitas is usually you can get a English word out of them if you replace the tas with the t, dignity, severity, which used to contain that ancient severity, and then the severity idea is sternness, austerity kind of thing, which used to contain that ancient sternness. Obsoleverunt. We get our word obsolete from this, but it's they have faded. They have we also get our word solvent from this root word in there. Like they've faded. The pages in which the that ancient virtue of being stern used to be contained, they've faded. Neque sol apud nos qui anc sectam rationemque vitae re magisquam verbis secuti sumus, sed etiam apud Graecos doctissimos homines, quibus cum facere non possent, loqui tamen et scribere honeste et magnifice ligebat, alia quaedam mutatis Graeciae temporibus praecepta extiterunt. That is all one sentence, but that's okay. It's kind of broken apart in a nice way. Not only among us. So this is talking about the situation of the ancient virtue is gone. Not only among us, who Hunk agrees with sectam and rationem. sector is literally path. This path, who's something this path, and this reason, you could also say plan, vitai, of life. So who's something this plan of life. I reckon this path and way of life, it's going to be something like follow. Re magisquam verbis. Re and verbis are in the ablative, and magisquam is comparing them. Indeed, more than in words. We who and then secutisumus is follow, have followed. We who have followed this path and mode of life, indeed more than in words. So it's like the problems not just among us who are more doers, Romans are the doers rather than the writers and thinkers, who follow the path more in deed than in words, but also among the Greeks, the most learned of men. Quibus it either is going to mean with whom or to whom. We'll find out when we get to the K-but. Cum facere non possent. Cum could mean when or since or although they cannot do things. Loqui tamen et scribere honestet magnifice licebat. Licebat is it was allowed. Impersonal takes the dative. Quibus, therefore, is dative, to whom it was allowed or who were allowed. And then when they couldn't do stuff, tamen is like nevertheless. And so that makes the cum have more of a meaning of although. So it'll be like to whom, although they can't do things, although they couldn't do things, it was nevertheless allowed for them to speak, loqui, and to write, honeste et magnifice, honorably and magnificently, or honorably and splendidly. Alia quaedam, certain other, and it's going to agree with Praegepta, certain other precepts or teachings, mutatis Graeciae temporibus, ablative absolute, with the times having been changed for Greece, literally when the situation, the prosperity essentially of Greece changed. Certain other teachings existerunt, came into being, came to exist. Now we're going to skip the next chapter where he describes some of these degenerate kind of teachings, but I'll give you a quick summary here, which was that some would say that the highest goal in life is pleasure. Pleasure is the highest good. And that would be part of the reasoning of the Epicureans. And so there's a problem with that, which is like, that's not really promoting virtue, says Cicero. In practice, the Epicurean practice of pleasure as the highest good was you've got to avoid causing deep anxiety in you, which means having moderation in your whole way of life. But it also results in avoiding taking part in politics, because that will cause you to be distressed, and kind of like there's a lot of negative things about Epicureanism, which is sort of like avoid getting overly involved in stuff, and that's your highest good. Just be pleasured in not being overly stirred up. And then others would say that virtue and pleasure are the highest good. That is to say that the highest act of virtue is also the most pleasurable thing, because ultimately doing good is what will make you happy. And so there's no conflict follow the pursuit of pleasure because true pleasure is true virtue. And so that's a problem for Cicero. Like, what if that's not true? What if really they're just dressing it up in a different language? And then others that do say, like the Stoics, who say virtue is the highest good. They, according to Cicero, their lecture theatres are all empty and devoid, and it's like a cricket sound. There's no one there attending it, and yeah, that's Cicero's summary of the situation with Greek Greek philosophy. So, in summary, the pleasure is the highest good people are the Epicureans. You don't have to know this in great detail. Just be aware. The ones who equated virtue and pleasure were the Peripatetics. They're the followers of Aristotle. And the ones who said that virtue is the highest good are the Stoics. And not mentioned in Cicero's speech are the undogmatic people, the ones who are anti-dogma, who just argue against everything and don't put forward any positive arguments of their own. That are the academic skeptics. And the problem with them is that they could just cause people to not really want to value anything, because how can you know anything? That's our summary of Greco-Roman philosophy at the time, and let's stop that there.